Welcome to Seekonk Speedway's 75 Seasons of Speed podcast. This is a walk back in time with a few of our favorites celebrating the history of racing at Seekonk Speedway.
Welcome back to the 75 Years of Speed podcast as we celebrate our 75th anniversary at Seekonk Speedway in 2020. A little bit of a crazy 75 years of speed that's gone on here. And back on the podcast once again, we've had some great guests so far. Doug Sheehan had been doing some of it. Doug stepped away here for a little bit. He'll be back when we get back to racing here. Maybe when you're listening to this, we're already back racing. I'm Kyle Souza, though. I'm joined once again by the race voice, the voice of Seekonk Speedway, Kevin Boucher. Kevin, tonight we've got Rob Murray on the podcast with us. Definitely a well-known name in the Seekonk community, and we're going to throw some questions back and forth, have a little chit-chat with Rob. Kevin, why don't you get us started with our first question?
Well, thanks a lot, Rob. It's a pleasure having you on. You and I go back a long way as track rats, if they will.
Yeah.
But I want to jump back. I want to jump in the Wayback Machine and go into being around the garage with your dad running. Talk about some of your earliest memories around the Speedway.
I was just a little kid, and I can remember being in my bedroom and my father going off to the track, and he'd come in and say, "All right, I got to go to the track, guys." Talking to me and my sister, and I just remember I told my father, I says, "Dad, just try to stay in the inside lane." I was only a little guy, but I knew that the inside lane was the fast one. I remember telling him, stay on the inside, don't let Dan Missouri pass you, and he'd laugh, he'd walk out, and of course he'd go to the track. Dan would probably pass him or something. I'd be mad, But then, my mother would bring me and my sister to the track, and as far as I can remember, I've been at the track, kind of grew up there, a lot of good times.
So, Robbie, you've been an integral part of the Speedway, not just with Dad, but also your own competition. So you watched Dad all those years. I mean, was it from day one you just wanted to get right behind the wheel? Was it kind of a knack that you just wanted to see what it was like to go fast at that speed?
Well, it was a different time back then. I mean, all the races back then seemed like heroes. I mean, my father was my hero. I just thought everything was cool about it. All the crew, and I mean, we had some good guys on the crew. We had Chad Chase and James Lawrence and Brian Souza, Dave Banville, Louis and Jerry Matthew. I mean, there was some good people on that crew. They all wanted to win their own championships and stuff like that. I can remember being a kid, and the modifieds would come out. And then, they'd all back up into the wall, they get out and they put their helmets on their cars and, do the driver intro. And I remember getting like you want to get an autograph from some driver. So, you find some piece of paper or a pizza plate or something like that. You borrow a magic marker from somebody and, you go up to some driver, you get their autograph, and I'm be all excited. You go back to Mom. Say, Mom, look what I got. Look what I got. I got this autograph, She's like, oh, that's great, Rob. Cheese and pizza sauce all over the plate, So, and you throw the thing away. And but at least you got to, talk to the driver. And, it was, I don't know, it was cool, being a young kid. It's cool to this day.
Now, when you put your first car together and got to the racetrack, you pull into the pit area for the first time as a driver. How different was that feeling than all the other times you had been in that pit area?
Well, I'll tell you how my first experience went. I had never driven anything. I had actually never driven a 8-cylinder car. I had a 4-cylinder Escort and a Volkswagen Bug. So the first time I drove an 8-cylinder, I loaded the car up on a trailer. So we missed the first week. We didn't have the car done, and I think it rained out or something. So the next week they were coming back, and it was just going to be the Consi and then the feature. So I don't think there was even any warm-ups. I'm not sure. Maybe we missed the warm-ups. But my first time on the track was in a race in a Consi, and I started last, and I dropped the green, and they took off from me. I'm like, holy mackerel, these guys are fast, And luckily, there was a bunch of cautions that night in the 10 lap heat. It seemed like 100 laps, but and every time, it'd probably be like 3-4 laps to be a caution, and I got a little better and a little better, and of course I didn't make it, and we loaded up and went home. Tried the next week,
Rob, what was the difference
No.
back then? Obviously, there's more cars, right? And you look at today, back then there was a consi just about every week in those divisions.
Yep.
Now we have a consi once in a while in the sportsman, but times have changed. I mean, is that the biggest change you've seen? I mean, the setups have changed, the cars have changed, but you're more integrated now, I think, maybe even when you were back then with 2 cars to work on. But what are some of the biggest changes you've seen in racing at the track here in the last 2-3 decades?
Well, I mean, there's been millions of changes, Yeah, there was a lot more cars back then, but a lot of it was homemade stuff, and some guys didn't do that good, and it just seems like now, I mean, everybody, I mean, if you're there, you're racing, you got good equipment, and you're fast, everybody's not so much in the trucks, but in the late models and pro stocks, it's all store-bought stuff, and you got to be pretty smart to set them up. Versus, years ago, it was all stock Camaro snouts, and you fabricate your own stuff, and I mean, I think the drivers are excellent right now. I mean, there's a lot of competition. It's not easy. Like I said, a lot of stuff has changed.
Do you still get the urge to get back behind the wheel?
No.
No,
I
you drove the truck last year. You did take it.
Yeah, I take them out from time to time, but I don't miss the pressure. I mean, I got my job now. My job is to prepare the cars and set them up, and then I let 2 very capable kids go out there and do the rest. Before I was the setup guy and driver, and it was a lot.
Talk about that. Let's talk about that for a second. You were a kid growing up. Your dad won a championship, and I know you had a lot of pride with that.
Oh yeah.
You had your own accomplishments as a driver. Now you've got 2 kids racing. Crystal in the Sport 4, Richie in the Sport Trucks, and Crystal went out last year, won the Triple Crown Championship. Richie went out and won the championship in the Sport Trucks. Talk about the pride that you've been able to carry the tradition on with the family.
Oh, it's great. I mean, the kids have been running for a long time. This is not their first rodeo. I mean, they've been. I don't know if Crystal was 7 years old, and I was running go-karts down a quick raceway there in Tiverton, and then she's like, "Daddy, I want to drive a go-kart." I'm like, "Are you sure?" I said, "This is pretty hardcore, So we built her a go-kart, and she went out, and of course Richie wasn't too much further after that. So they get a lot of laps, and they've been successful basically everywhere we went. We ran years at in the go-karts at Tiverton, then we went up to 106 in New Hampshire with the mini cops, and they were fast there, and then we moved to back to Seekonk, and they both did well. It's very very gratifying. I mean, again, we're there to have fun. We're not there to move on to the Cup Series. We just obviously, if you want to go there, you want to be fast and have a shot to win. And that's what we try to do. And they're both good drivers. They use their heads. They don't bust the stuff up. I mean, last year at the beginning of the year, we had 2 cars, and I says, "All right, guys," I says, "you guys got to use your heads and not crash these things, because if you start crashing them, it's going to be all done. We don't have a big pit crew here." And they did well. They listen and they use their heads.
You talk about the pressure of driving. What's the pressure like as dad? Not only as the setup guy, but the guy that's preparing these cars. And obviously, I stand beside you for a lot of truck races. I've stood beside you for a lot of Sport 4 races too. The pressure and the anxiety of watching them go around the track, it's got to be kind of close to as high as what it was like driving? No.
Oh yeah, it's probably worse, to be honest with you. But once they go on the track, it's in their hands. So there's nothing you can do. You can do the best you can with setting them up and listen to what they say, what they want the cars to do, and then you do it, and it's up to them. But it is very very nervous, nerve-wracking. I will say that.
Let's take a step back to last year's championship night. You want to talk about nerve-wracking?
Oh God.
What I want to hear is the process that went through the night from starting the night to the finish, and the difference in the highs and the lows and the frustration levels and the jubilation. I mean, take us through that night of everything that happened to get you through that night, because we all know it wasn't an easy night.
No, it wasn't. Richie had I forgot what it was, maybe a 14-point lead or something. So I think it was 7 spots. He had to finish ahead. And he's pretty smart. So he, I just told him, just use your head, and you don't have to go win this thing. Just do your deal, finish in the top 5, or just keep the thing in one piece. And we haven't really had any mechanical problems all year with the truck. And before the heat, we went out, and he had problems starting the thing up, and then it fired. And I was like, geez, that's weird. Boy, I'm glad that didn't happen before the feature. So he goes out, he qualifies the thing, he comes in, he's on a scale. After the scales, I think the thing dies. So we push it back to the pit stall. I'm trying to fire it up, it won't fire up. So I call up Josh Hedges. I says, hey, something's wrong with this thing. So he comes running in, and people were coming from all over the place. Johnny Robideau, there was people. Sparky Arsenal and Greg Perry. There was people all everywhere, just coming in with pieces and parts and trying to fix this thing. And I was pretty confident we could get the thing going, and we just never did. And so I says, we got to figure out what we're gonna do here for a game plan here. I'm starting to get a little worried. So I look over, and a lot of people don't know this, but Ed Perry. He was kind of watching the whole thing happen. So he pointed at me and he says, he can drive my truck, which I thought was very, very nice. Ed was, I think, 4th in points, only a couple points out of 3rd. And he was ready to give up his ride for Richie to win the championship, So that was very, very nice. But we ended up talking to somebody else, and that kind of fell through. And I turned around to go hop into, talk to Ed, and Dave Campbell says, if you need a ride, you drive you have Richie drive my truck. So I says, nah, I don't want to do that. Brittany's been very fast. She's got a shot to win tonight. And he says, nope. He says, I've already talked to Brittany. Brittany wants Richie to drive this truck and win the championship. So again, that was incredible. I talked to Brittany, and she was, definitely, she was all in for it. And so we took the tires off of his truck and put them on Brittany's truck and went out and won the championship. So it was a lot of emotion. You think you got the thing, pretty much not wrapped up, but you got a good shot, and all of a sudden now the truck don't start. So you're scrambling for a ride, and he barely fit into Brittany's truck. He never even turned a lap, and he went out there, and I don't know what he finished, 6th, 7th, or whatever. But he just did what he had to do, and I couldn't be more grateful for everybody that helped, and again, Dave Campbell and Brittany and everybody that jumped in to help. It was definitely a team effort, for sure. So I would have liked to have him won it, with his, with Jeremy's truck, Hedges, but we did it with Campbell's, and it actually made for a great story.
So you talk about the Hedges. You helped Josh for years, known them for years. Yep. Josh wins the championship, and you kind of get the truck, and Richie hops in. Talk about the relationship with them to give you guys the opportunity to have that truck and run at that caliber with a caliber of equipment that you know is really good, and a truck that you've worked on yourself that you know every piece and part on.
Yeah. I've known Josh for years. He used to run at a quick raceway. We always used to run go-karts together, and he moved up to the trucks, and he was not too familiar with setups, and so I helped him out, and we were good friends, and Josh is a good driver, and we got along good, and he could tell me what the truck was doing, and we could adjust on it, and he was fast. He won the championship, and Richie did well in the Sport Fours. You got to remember he only ran a half a season because we were splitting the seat between Richie and Crystal. He'd get a week or two, and then she would get a week or two, and so he only ran 8 races in a real car, and he won 2 of them. And Josh and Jeremy, they like what they saw. Josh was moving up to late models, and Jeremy says, let's put Richie in the truck. And at first I kind of didn't want to do it because we were having so much success in the Sport Fours, but I says, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and I mean, I know the truck, I was working on the truck and helping him setting it up, and so we took over that, and Richie adapted well to that, and he just used his head pretty much all year, and he won the championship and Rookie of the Year, and yeah, so it was. I'm glad we moved up now.
Now, when you were working your way up so as a driver and learning the setups on your own cars, obviously the technology changed from division to division. But when you got into the Pro Stock division, which is what basically the top level of where we're at, how different was that technology as far as setups versus what Richie's running now with the sport trucks, which you're used to? Is there a lot of difference in that?
Well, my first car, actually, I just went right into the late model division, which was called the Sportsman division at the time. So I didn't go into streeters or anything else. We went right into late models, and so that was a leaf spring car, and that's similar to what Richie has, and so we ran that leaf spring car for 3 years. We did pretty well with it, but I knew we wanted to move up to the Pro Stocks, and they had coil springs and stuff like that, and Panhard bars, and there's a lot more adjustment. So we built after the 3rd year, we built our own coil car and went out, and we learned a lot, because initially my father was kind of doing the setups. He was we didn't have any caster camber gauges. He'd look at it by eye. Oh yeah, boy, that's what you need for caster. That's what you need for camber. I'd go out and drive the thing. But when we got into the coil car, then we started using caster camber gauges and bump steer gauges and scales, and so we learned a lot in that Sportsman car. How the springs work, and and I mean every year you're learning something. I learn stuff to this day. All these crazy new setups, and it's different than what I ran. But you have to adapt, and I ask people all the time, what to do, and what do they think about this situation, and you just keep learning.
So you are a Pro Stock driver in your past, and these kids now have gone. Richie's gone through Friday, moved up to Saturday. Crystal's still in Friday. What do you kind of envision for their future? Do you see them? You want them to drive Pro Stocks? Are you comfortable where they are?
Whatever they want to do. I'm doing this because it's fun. They're good at it. We spend time together. My daughter will come to the garage, and that's, we'll bond like that. You know what I mean? She's 19 years old, so I'm not going to be talking girl stuff, but we can talk about race cars, and, and Richie's getting good. He's fabricating, and he's welding, and, he's learning a lot about setups on iRacing and stuff like that. How far do I want him to go? Who knows? I don't think about how far they can go. It's just, about having fun right now. And like I said, I didn't want to put them in the truck because we were having fun in the Sport 4s. We got my neighbor AJ Manuel. He's right next door. He had a Sport 4. So we had a good little thing going. We had the two of us, and we'd come back on a Friday night. We'd have a little campfire out in the backyard, and we'd have a good time, and that kind of changed once Richie went Saturday night racing, but, it all worked out. So, how far they go, we'll see. We just want to have fun.
Now, which is harder, watching the kids out there as a car owner or watching the kids out there as a dad?
As a dad. Actually, I'm not. Jeremy Hedges is the car owner for the truck, so. But no, it's a dad. Obviously with the dad, and you don't want him to get hurt, and you're nervous, But we can fix the car or the truck.
Robbie,
Yeah, but yeah.
Robbie, I think the last thing that I want to touch on with you. And you mentioned the bonding with Crystal. You mentioned the bonding with Richie. I mean, you and Richie spend so many hours together. You spend so many hours together. I can't tell you how many times I've driven over there, and your dad's in the shop with you too, just hanging out. How much of this is strictly about the family aspect? I mean, you've been doing this for so long. You guys do so many things as a family outside of racing, whether it be snowmobiling, hanging out, going to New Hampshire, going to different parts of New England. But how much of this is about the racing and about the enjoyment you get out of spending time with them?
Well, I mean, obviously, the racing is about racing. We're there to do the best we can. We're there to, when I go there, I think they got a shot to win every race or run good, and that's fun. It's fun to win. It's not fun to run 15th, but, the racing we do for the racing. But I mean, we do. We all get along great. I mean, we snowmobile together, and we go up to New Hampshire, and we have a lot of fun, And I like spending time with with my wife Michelle and the kids, and we go to tracks, and and then we get to race, and we spend a lot of time obviously racing and working on the cars and loading them up, and then after the races, we'll have a little peanut party in the parking lot and talk about the night's races. So it's fun. I'd rather be doing that than sitting out a softball game or something like that. We tried that.
A couple of years ago, your dad and Jerry and Dave Danville and a couple of other guys finished restoring your dad's old Mini Modified.
Yeah.
When that car came out onto the track, how much pride did you have? How much enjoyment did you get? Did that relive any childhood memories, seeing that car go back around the track?
Oh yeah, that was cool. I can't believe he drove that thing. To be honest with you, I mean, I was all cramped up in that thing. I mean, he ran that thing at Thompson and Pocono. He ran 3 races at Pocono up there. He finished second one of them. Yeah, it was great. I mean. David Banville was my lifelong friend. He was my best man in the wedding. I mean, we grew up together working on the race car, watching everybody work on the race car. And so, I mean, to hop in that thing and take it around, it was pretty cool, and that thing was sitting outside and it was rotting away. And me and David Banville, we say, let's get this thing back together. So we put it on a trailer. We brought it down to my garage, and at the time we weren't racing any big cars. We were just running the mini cups, and we got the whole original crew back together, and it would come down one night a week. I think it was Tuesday nights, and we took the complete car apart, and I'm so glad we did that. Since then we've lost the Owl. He was the key contributor to that. He built all the motors, and that's where we kept the car up in Somerset in his garage. And it was good. I think we spent a whole winter, one night a week, and would, the whole original crew, and put that thing back together. And yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I'm so glad we did it.
Robbie, I guess I'd be remiss.
Brought back a lot of memories for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I actually remember going to a car show with you one Saturday morning, and that car was actually driven on Route 6 in Somerset.
Oh yeah.
When we left the car show, so that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think that was my father. My father hopped in there. I think Kyle Casper was in the street, so he drove it up Route 6. My father was in his car, and I think I drove the kid's Sport 4 at the time. went right up Route 6.
That was probably one of the crazier things I remember watching.
Yeah.
I'd be remiss, I guess, not to ask you about Michelle. I mean, she's been supporting you for how many years now with the racing thing,
Yeah.
and as somebody that works full-time by herself, she gets the enjoyment out of the races and maybe gets even more anxious than you do and more excited than you do at times. But, I mean, I guess this is a little bit cliche, but how lucky do you feel to have her able to be there with you and support, not only the kids, but you and what you're doing with the truck and really, take that family bond to the next level?
No, that's great. I mean, that's why we've been married all these years. Unfortunately, she had no choice. When she met me, I had just bought the my sportsman car, and so she got thrown right into the fire right away. But she luckily she had been to the races and stuff like that when she was a kid. So she knows it takes a lot of time, and she likes it. She may not say it all the time, but she likes it.
It definitely does take a special breed of women
Absolutely.
to deal with that. And even if they're just passive, the nights away at the garage or the Saturdays away, or if you're traveling to a different track, and I know the feeling.
Yeah. It definitely worked out good for us. She likes it, and I like it. The kids like it. So, hey, great. Let's go do what I like. What we all like, and we have fun at it, and we do good, and that's what it's about.
Well, Robbie, 75 years of speed. Before we wrap, I guess the final thing to ask is what are the expectation levels for this year? I mean, the seasons are shortened, obviously due to COVID and the restrictions we've had in place. Finally, getting back up off the ground here with Friday nights and soon to come Saturday nights. I mean, is the expectation to go out there and win on both nights and just be competitive at the front every week?
Yeah, I mean, the expectations are what they usually are. I mean, we want to go out, at least win one race, that'd be nice. And that was our expectations last year for Richie, was to win a race, and he did that. So we were happy. Crystal, we took Crystal up to Star, and she won a race up there, so that was good. Yeah, I mean, basically, you want to run good, you don't want to crash. That's not good. I mean, racing's fun if you're doing good. If you're crashing and you're not doing good, it's a very humbling sport, and it can make it not so fun real quick. So if we can go there and do what we did last year, if we can get a win here and there and run good and keep the thing in one piece, that'd be great. I mean, to be honest with you, we're fortunate to even be racing this year. I mean, the track has done a phenomenal job just getting the races going. And I mean, I know that a lot of places are not even open right now. Pawtucket, the Paw Sox, and I mean, there's no sports venues in Mass that's open, and so for Seekonk to do what they did, it's pretty amazing. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully they can continue. We can get fans in the stands, and and everything will work out good. We're gonna have some fun.
Do you still sit there and get excited about race day as a car owner and a dad?
Oh yeah. Absolutely, yeah. I get excited, yeah, and actually, I'm glad I'm not running.
With all this downtime that we've had this spring and early summer, we're in the middle of July now, and we have yet to get competitive on the track. How tough has this been for you and for the kids and for the family?
It was honestly, it was a good break. We could get a little more extra time to get the cars done. I mean, Richie just got his license, not maybe a couple months ago, so we had to build a car for him. We got a little Mitsubishi Eclipse, like his sister's race car. We put that together, just so we could drive around on the streets. But we had a lot of projects, and we do a lot of snowmobiling, and so we kind of got a late start, to be honest with you, on the car. So it actually worked out good, to be honest with you, that the season did open late, Plus, Richie got to do a lot of iRacing, so he likes that. So.
Yeah, and the iRacing's
been.
When
Dad getting into the iRacing.
Dad competed in iRacing too. What was that experience like? I mean, I don't think you had such a great time the first time you drove.
Not the first time. The first time wasn't too good. The second time we did pretty good. Me and Kyle Castle were battling out for the win. I got taken out there with 5 to go, but it's Again, Richie can stick to the iRacing.
Yeah, I think Richie might be a little bit better at it
Yeah.
than Dad. Is going to be at least at this time. Maybe in the winter, you'll have a chance to get back on there. Well, Rob, we just took 30 minutes of your time on a race week. Trying to prepare. I hear Crystal's car is pretty much loaded up. You've been working with AJ Manuel to get his prepared for our Sport 4 opener.
Yeah, we just worked on his last night, getting his ready to go for this Saturday. Friday.
Friday. There you go. He's been busy, and we really appreciate some time, Rob. You could sit here with me and Kevin, tell some stories, and entertain the fans. So we want to definitely thank you for it. And we wish you good luck, and I'm sure we'll be seeing you in Victory Lane maybe at least a couple times here before the end of 2020.
Well, let's hope so. And thanks for having me on.
All right.
Rob, it's been a pleasure.
That's been Rob Murray, who has been a real integrated part of Seekonk Speedway over the 75 years. We're going to be getting back into the podcast swing here over the next couple of months with the COVID shutdown and racing starting to get back underway. Stay tuned to our website and our social media channels for more of the 75 anniversary years of Speed podcast. For Rob Murray, thanks for joining us. For Kevin Boucher, the voice of Seekonk Speedway, for joining me here in the virtual booth. Want to thank both of them. Thanks for listening, ladies and gentlemen, and we look forward to our next 75 years of Speed podcast over the next little bit. So long.